Good morning. Welcome to Podcast from the Pit. I'm Casey. With me always is Eric Hillbilly Harper. Joining us once again, Beta Ray Bob. And for the first time to the pit, J.E. Russell, Chicken Fried Toys, one of my favorite lines, Dime Novel Legends.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, I was happy to have you. When Ken mentioned maybe we can get you on, I was like, yes, please. Yeah,
yes.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I like Ken quite a bit. He's a good dude.
Yeah, one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is everybody this morning?
Struggling.
I'm not struggling. I just wish I didn't have to work today. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Oh, as soon as we get done here, I got to get ready for a show for tomorrow that I'm doing down in Waxahachie, Texas. And I'm going to head out to Whataburger and grab some breakfast.
Nice. Nice. As soon as I get done here, I got to change into my work clothes and go to work.
Yeah, I got you.
As soon as we get done here, I'm going back to bed. I got home at 3:30 this morning.
Nice.
Now, whose fault was that?
My wife's.
Okay.
She loves going dirt track racing. And,
yeah.
So, and the track we was at was like an hour and a half away from us. And, yeah.
We finished up around midnight. By the time you're done farting around, it's, another hour home. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. It was almost 2 whenever it got finished up last night. And I was yeah.
I used to watch some dirt track racing up in Northeast Oklahoma when I lived up there for about 15 years. It's a fun time, but it slips away with you while you're out there.
Yep.
Anyway, how's everything this morning, guys? What do you want to talk about? It's open forum. Let's hear what you want to hear. Let's hear what you want to do.
See who's in the chat first.
All right. Yep. You mean there's other people alive and up at this time of the day?
Yes.
Yeah.
I call horse shit.
Oh, Joe Hunter 73. What's up, Wes?
Hey, Wes.
Joe Ricondo.
Oh,
good morning, buddy.
Hey, Joe.
Rex Ship 85. Good morning.
Ahoy, me matey.
Oh,
Michael Gene Fleming.
Hey, buddy.
Mr. Joe A-Raw. Good morning. Todrick.
Morning.
I think he's watching us from the golf course this morning.
Yeah.
Yorktown Joe. Now we know. Good morning. 80s Joes. It was so nice to meet you last week. That was awesome.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. Saw the pictures.
Yeah. James, still a big kid. Good morning.
Hey, James.
What?
Nate, the retro tinker, all the way from Australia. Good morning.
Him and Wes.
I don't know which.
Nate and Wes have something in common.
Foot. Good morning.
Hey, Foot.
The legend himself, Ronnie Trickshot. Good morning.
Good day, mate.
Joe Fan. Hey,
Joe Fan 84.
Hey.
Good morning.
Hopefully you're not at work today.
Yeah.
Robo Laser. Good morning. I have to look at the big screen sometimes. My eyes are so bad, so I can see who I'm getting on.
Oh, I made sure to put my glasses on this morning so I could read the print.
Swampman Zartan. Good morning.
Hey, big guy.
The best editor in the business, One in Toys. Good morning.
Absolute best. He drops it like it's hot.
Ooh. Brian, good morning.
Whoa, hey, big guy. Bob, they're watching you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good morning, buddy.
That's fine. I watch stuff he's on too. So, and then Sunday you can watch both of us on Into the Toy Box.
Yep. Pete Moline, good morning. See, we have people get up early.
Yeah,
you do. I was kind of surprised. It's guys right there.
We've been
Larry.
We've been referred to as Saturday morning cartoons. People like getting up, cup of coffee, cup or milk and cereal and sitting, hanging out.
They assembly required. I don't know if you guys have ever been up to Des Moines and take that show in. You should. It's
I
great.
want to. Yes, I want to.
But it's a super fan oriented event. They do a thing on Saturday morning where they do cartoons and cereal, sit down and watch and eat cereal and hang out and just have a good time first thing in the morning for the show opens Saturday. It's kind of a cool.
Nice.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So the next thing we always do is we'll do like recent pickups. Then we'll jump into the chat.
Sure. Yeah.
Bob, you got anything you want to show off?
What have you scored?
Actually, I do. Just came in yesterday. These new versions of Microman or Micronauts, whichever you want to call them.
Wow.
Figures came in with updated articulation and their little capsules. It's a little 4-pack with like 4 different colors. And
Is that the newest body style there? I noticed he's a little bulkier.
Yeah. These are the Legacy Soul ones with the swivel and the bicep.
That's pretty
and
cool.
And then the double jointed elbows.
Wow.
These look like they would be double jointed because they've got like 2 pins in them, but the way they're designed, they're actually only single jointed. I don't know why they've got 2 pins for a single pin, but I'm not a toy designer, so what do I know? But
it might be stability related. It might be material related. You never can tell.
Oh yeah. And then of course they've also got like the wrist.
Yeah.
I don't know, my big fingers are all in the way that are on the ball joint, and then
That's
the hinge.
cool.
Yeah, these guys are. And they got the.
I collected
go ahead.
Micronauts as a kid, man, and they get a real soft spot for them.
Oh yeah, me too. And these have got like the kind of vintage look, but like with new articulation and no O-ring.
Updated materials and stuff.
Yeah.
A little bougie in there, Bob.
Well, so Micronaut stuff is like my all-in line.
I know.
Other stuff, is pick and choose as I can afford. But
what did you think of the reveal of the 6-inch Marvel Legends scale comic accurate acquire yesterday?
I was pretty impressed. Now I don't usually get 6-inch figures. I'm more of a 118 guy, but it does look like it stepped right off the comic page.
It does. It's pretty sharp. Yeah, it caught my eye real quick.
Yeah, I may have to get that one because I did get Psycho Man from Marvel Legends.
Yeah,
just because he appeared in the Micronauts comics.
The comic. Yeah,
and he was on clearance, so that didn't hurt either.
Well, it's because they made Psycho Man. That's why he was on clearance.
Right. Yeah. It's like when Machine Man went on clearance. I was like, oh, hey, poor Machine Man.
Leapfrog.
Yeah.
When they get to Red Coast, they've officially hit the end of the list.
Yeah. But,
all right. So I know what we're waiting on for Hillbilly to show off. So let's.
Well, I got something in the mail yesterday. I wasn't expecting this. And the note said, enjoy. So came in this.
Ooh, nice.
Nope. No.
Yeah. Now I need the Dragonfly, Casey.
Or you could put them in that new thing you got.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Oh, challenge accepted. So, and then at Joe Fest, I got a grill.
Very nice.
So, this thing was so cool. Even though I about slung it through the wall one time. But he is amazing. I'm wanting to have a pillow fort in the bed, and Shannon's like, no. And it even has 2 pallets in it that are the Lord's scale.
I'm gonna have to argue with you on that one.
Oh yeah,
yeah. What was it? It was 6-inch pilots. I didn't take a good look there.
4-inch, 3 3/4.
All right, there you go. You're right. Yeah. You're right on. There you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a 3 3/4 inch, but I do have some 6-inch stuff. But this thing is ginormous. So
that's why mine is still in the box right now. I don't have a place to put it out. Otherwise, it would be out.
Yeah. So I told my wife I was going to hang it from the ceiling of her bedroom, from the light the light shade, and she's like, no.
Yeah, I figured that would be the response there.
Yeah. It only came with one 4-inch pallet, which is a Blood Wolf, aka Bob Reekin. And then I had a Eagle Force soldier that looked like a Red Shadows trooper, and I threw that in there. So yeah, I'm not a bit excited about it.
No.
I was trying to put the chin gun on, and it wouldn't pop in. So I messaged Casey. I was like, "Why will this thing not go in?" He's like, "I don't remember." So I messaged Ken, and Ken's like, "I don't remember." He's like, "Heat it up." And if I'd have thought, I'd have messaged Bob or Will or somebody else. And I was just like getting really frustrated. And at one point, I was this close to zinging it into the wall.
Don't do that. That's a mighty expensive
Yeah.
example out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I heated it up and finally went. I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Generally speaking, with all modern toys, heating stuff up is your friend.
Yeah.
Most modern toys, as soon as I take them out of the package, I go ahead and give them a little spot treatment. And
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, even as much stuff as I've handled over the years, prototypes and test shots and stuff from other companies and our own stuff and all that, it almost always gets a dip in the hot tub, just to be safe.
The Blood Wolf figure did get a hot bath or shower.
That our first factory is the same factory that produces the figures and stuff for that and that line, and they're, I won't say notorious, I'll say infamous for having very tight joints. Now that's good and bad. Good in that you can always depend that the figures are going to stand up well over time to being handled and stuff. Bad in that if you're new to action figures and you're not careful with what you do, you can break something pretty easy because the joints are very tight.
Right.
There was a shift in the industry many years ago from a nylon derivative for the joints. If you remember back when Toys R Us was an ongoing concern around 50th G.I. Joe, you started seeing joint breakage in some of the figures in the 2-packs of Storm Shadow was especially notorious for that. That's because they changed from this nylon derivative to a material called POM. And POM is much harder to work with. It was for industry safety and environmental concerns like that. It was the right move, but every company deals with that in some extent or another that's making action figures. Yeah. Just a little anecdote. Sorry.
You're fine.
We love hearing this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to show off today?
Oh, sure. I've had this for quite some time, but I just started working on it. My eyesight's not what it used to be. I've had surgery on my eyes, went blind for a little while, so I don't have depth perception right now. But I've been painting this 4-inch scale, roughly 4-inch scale, comic accurate Micronauts of Croyer to go with my other micro stuff. It's a nice
cool
piece. It's a really nice design, super well put together, and it with the advent of really good commercial print resins and printers, you can get excellent results out of this stuff these days. Now, I bought a Mars 2 Pro and the Cook and Cure station years ago when it was still new, and it's still sitting wrapped in the plastic. So that's as far as I've gotten on print. But I got that.
Very cool.
And I got in my part of the Kickstarter from Operation Recall. Waiting on Wave 4 so that my character gets here. But what I've seen so far out, everything's really, really nice. They're sitting here next to my desk so I can get them opened up, play around with them, and then put them in bags and set them over in storage for the time being.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Storage and stuff. Yeah.
And I finally got to play with my own personal, very vintage Vigilante. Did some work on him, so forth and so on. I think the only thing I've got left to do to kind of get it where I want it is to put the belt in some hot water and kind of relax the holsters down to the legs a little bit. The hat was designed originally for another figure, so it's a little small for his head. But there's 2 long ridges running down the inside edges of the hat. They're called detents, depending on what how you want to produce it. how you want to pronounce it. But if you want the hat to fit down a little better on the head without having to squish it on there, just take a razor blade and trim those detents out down the side, and it fits on like a champ.
Nice.
That's
Very
pretty
cool.
cool.
Well, our line is designed to be very customizer friendly, so parts are made to swap, and no matter what you do, you're always going to get some differences in things like that. So you build in this case, the detents for the hat, so it stays on well for a skinny head, and then on a larger head, you just trim them out and it fits better. So.
Hey, Jezza.
Good morning, Jezza.
I'm glad you made it home this week, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Casey, that leaves you. What'd you get?
I got. This is stuff I got at Kentuckiana this last weekend. And I'm all over the place collecting wise.
That's all right.
No.
But I got my Ric Flair. I love this figure. He's even got the woo face, which is
Well,
the
yeah,
head I'm
well-
going to use.
What would it be without that?
And I got this really colorful Macho Man.
Nice.
Now, these were both from Kentuckiana, but I did pick up this at Target the other day. I had to have it. Hacksaw Jim Dugan just came out. So that scratched
cool.
that wrestling figure itch this week. But at Kentuckiana, I got an amazing gift from 80s Joe's. I got the full set of the
Oh, right on. Yeah.
250th.
Those are actually nicer than I anticipated they would be. The Lady J is really, the color combo works well on her.
Casey, guess which one of them I'm missing?
Snake Eyes.
No,
Lady
Which one?
J.
Duke.
I should have known that.
Senor Dookie Pants.
Yes. I'm not a Duke.
But I will say
Neither am
those
I.
made me wish that Super 7 would put figure stands in with all the
Yes.
Reaction Plus figures. You know,
That would be pretty cool. And certainly I know Brian real well. We've talked about stuff like that before, and making sure that the appearance of value to the end customer is high. And that's one of those things where it can be a little difficult. You know, the cost of a stand to manufacture is not that much in terms of the whole toy. And certainly when you're cutting a tool, you can cut 4 or 5 cavities and run off the stands in one run for everything you're producing at the same time. That's the upside of O-ring figures as well, is they're all one material. Mostly. You have a few lines that have PVC hands, which is a good idea if you don't have broken thumbs, but most of them are all ABS, the harder plastic, and the stands are as well. So, Manamana.
Now, in case we missed him, good morning, Ken. And you're right, the Ultimate Editions are amazing. And go back to Ronnie's comment. The only thing stopping me right now is finances and space. I'm actually out of space. I'm going to have to start selling off some stuff.
I think
Go ahead.
I think Ken's looking for a Goldberg figure to go with his Bret Hart. That was a bad one. I apologize. I'll crawl back into my hole.
All the wrestlers you're talking about are well past my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
We
I don't know enough about wrestling to have gotten that joke. Sorry.
You're
being-
okay. I think-
being from Dallas, I grew up in the 70s or early 80s where it was, the Von Erichs and Bruiser Brody, the Freebirds, and, all that kind of stuff down here. And the world moved on past them pretty quick.
Yeah. Jez, I'm working on that right now. I'm going to shift everything. Every once in a while, you got to figure out how to make some more room for stuff that you love and stuff that you're maybe falling out of love with. You can move on to somebody else that wants it more.
One of the most difficult parts to encourage, and this is something that I've talked about at length about our line, is convincing people to spend a little money and time to curate their collections as well as filling their collections.
Yes.
Shelving and storage and things that protect your investments are a good idea, but a lot of people that are buying stuff are just buying it to put in a bag, put in a tub, and then it'll see a shelf someday. Well, it's, what good's having it if you don't get to look at it, check it out, and enjoy it every once in a while.
Right. Yeah. My wife's like, why do you need more shelving? Because I have more toys.
Oh, you should have seen mine when we got together 17 years ago, and I told her I had 14 depth-off cases I had to make room for. And that's not the most I've ever seen in one place. My buddy Corey from Small Joe's has got, I'd say it's like 16 or 18. He liked the way I had mine displayed, so he copied it.
And Ronnie's agreeing, stuffing totes is no fun at all.
That's right. I mean, sir, if you can make time to rotate your collection around to fit in the space that you're in, and then store the other stuff in totes, then that's pretty good. But you still got to have space to store the totes. So,
if collecting toys is a disease, it's the best one I have, because I also have congestive heart failure and diabetes. So I'll take toys.
Yes. Toys for 200, Alex.
yeah.
Yeah. So how did the idea for the Western stuff come? Because nobody, that's very niche. Nobody else is doing it.
Yes.
Well, there's I'll preface what I'm going to tell you about the usual storyline about the company and stuff. I'll preface that by saying that if making Western toys was a profitable venture, then you would have other people doing it. There was a third party that I know real well who has had his own line doing boutique figures, and he ran a cost analysis on it and decided it wasn't for him. So we do it because we want to. And what happened, Paul and I, my business partner Paul Mundheim and I, we've been friends for a very long time, 25, almost 30 years now, I guess, close to anyway. And he was a fan of mine back when I was still doing resin cast G.I. Joe related custom stuff. We had an opportunity to launch a line, and we had originally planned to do Greco-Roman myths and mythology, and our friends at Boss Fight kind of beat us to that. So we pivoted immediately to Western stuff because we both love Westerns, Western mythology, Western history. Like I said in the pre-show talk, he's a cowboy action shooter. He loves reenacting as a period correct cowboy and that kind of stuff. And, so it's near and dear to our hearts, and that's kind of where we started off at. We spent about 2.5, almost 3 years in development, getting things ready, and then once we were close, we went ahead and got ready to launch what ended up being the first Kickstarter. So, we're celebrating our 10th year as a public-facing company this year, and our 13th year as a company overall. We've had a fair amount of success through some pretty tough times with COVID and last year's shenanigans with tariffs and stuff. And I'm just happy that we're still here and seem to be doing okay. So that's kind of the story of where we came from. It was a labor of love from the beginning, and it hasn't stopped, I suppose. Midlife crisis, like that started in midlife. I'm in the sweet spot age-wise. I started off with 12-inch Joe when I was a little kid, most of it secondhand in the very early 70s, and then pivoted immediately to Johnny West, Best of the West, and from there was Star Wars, and from Star Wars to G.I. Joe in 1982. So I've been collecting and caring about action figures my entire conscious adult life, every bit of it. I don't think it's going to go away at this point.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Find something you love, you just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody,
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, that's always
one
a
of
given for me.
Well, one of the things that was always difficult for me to watch, I worked at a sports card and comic book shop in Northeast Oklahoma for a couple of years, and one of the things that was difficult for me to watch is see collectors coming in. They're spending their electric bills and stuff like that because they've got no control, self-control. And it, as somebody working for a private business, and you got to take the sale, but at the same time, you're like, do you really need it? Do you really need this right now? The time that this was going on, there wasn't much in the way of work. It was before gaming had hit the state up there, and there wasn't any. I had one of the highest paying jobs around. It was $6.50 an hour.
Yeah.
That ain't nothing. So
Yeah,
Um,
my first
hey.
job was $3.35 an hour. I still remember that.
Mine was $2.18 an hour, and I spent most of my life working bars and restaurants, so it didn't go up. It went down to $2.13 an hour plus tips.
Yeah.
So that was not fun. I don't really want to do that.
And sometimes I'm not saying anything bad about them, but sometimes even as a collector going into a card or comic book shop, like, and asking them prices on stuff because you don't know, like, I don't know nothing about baseball. And I got a stack of my dad's old baseball cards from the 50s and 60s. And I took a Hank Aaron card into a shop. It was a Cons Wiener card. My grandma had got it off a package of hot dogs, I guess, back in the 60s.
Back when such things used to happen.
Yeah. It's a 1967 Hank Aaron. And I took it into a shop and she had it pressed in a book. The corners are just a little frayed. And the guy's like, it's a $5 card. I'll give you $2 for it. And I was like, it's not for sale. I'm just wanting to find out. So I take it to another shop, and the guy's like, I'll double his offer in a heartbeat. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. He says it's a $500 card.
So it's with the internet today, and this goes to all kinds of collecting.
Yeah.
With the internet today and the availability of knowledge that you can get just by doing a little bit of research,
click.
It's always a good idea to check out what you got a little bit. Now, it's unfortunate that there are unscrupulous buyers out there that will take advantage of an unknowing customer, and they don't give anybody a good name by doing that.
Right.
The guy may legitimately have not known, but I doubt it. It sounds like he knew exactly. The percentage, to me, the indicator is that he said it's worth $5. I'll give you $2.
Yeah.
He's giving you almost half of what it's worth, so it's worth more than that. The percentage is a pretty good indicator. But there are a lot of reputable guys out there that will buy your collections and give you a good, reasonable amount of money for them. So just take your time and too much of a rush. And certainly, if you're in dire straits and you got to do something, then you got to do something. But in that case, eBay is your best resort.
This was way back in the 1900s before the interweb.
Yeah.
So,
I got you.
And I couldn't find the card in Overstreet. So I was like, what do I do? But anyhow, meanwhile, back at the ranch, little Jimmy fell down the well again.
Oh, shut up, Lassie. So back to the company. When we started this off, we wanted to do about 100 figures or so. And as things have gone on, we kind of padded that out another 50. And then you add to that Native Americans and women, which we've had mostly ready for a while. And the struggle to try to get those to market and paid for so we can get them out there for people to buy. I think we're going to end up somewhere around 225, 250 by the time it's all done. I want to say too, with regards to that, one of the hardest things to do as a business owner or creator, as far as I'm concerned, this is my opinion, obviously, I'm not speaking for everyone, is to monetize your tooling dollars, to get the money back that you spend in tooling. Production numbers are very simple. It's cost X. I need to sell this many units to do this, right? Design work, this sculpt cost me $3,000. I need to sell this many to help pay that amount. But tooling dollars, while they have a fixed dollar amount that they cost, your number that you need to produce out of that tooling to pay for the tooling dollars, get the tooling dollars back in your pocket, slides up and down according to the print run, according to the public interest and things like that. As I said, we have about 500 people that are pretty hardcore customers that buy everything we put out, and the rest of it's casual buyers. Our print runs are 2,000 pieces, and they usually take us about 2 to 3 years to sell out. So that means we're paying storage on it every month for 2 to 3 years. So the cost of the individual piece goes up. There's a lovely thing for small business owners that you deal with. It's tax inventory holdover. So every year you have the state and the federal government taxing you on stuff that's unsold, and they're going to tax you again when it's sold. So you're getting taxed multiple times over. That's the reason why a lot of businesses will do, end of year sales or inventory sales, things like that, to try to move that stuff out, and try to make something back on it before they have to tax down on it again. So I'm not complaining. Taxes need to be paid as part of the social contract. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's one of those things you got to figure out how to pay for. So nobody,
like you're getting taxed on the same thing so many times, though.
It is. You're exactly right. It is a little ridiculous. I think once you pay the import duties on it, and once you pay the sales tax on it, and then a one-time tax, on manufacturing, that ought to be it for things. But like I said, there's a year-over-year tax for your leftover inventory that's not sold, and stuff like that. But like I was saying, the tooling dollars, I think, is the hardest money to recoup with regards to manufacturing and retail. And the perception of value to the public in terms of product, and that's something I do talk about quite often when people are asking me questions about the line, is something that you have to balance in all this. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. The tax model is made to ride on the backs of small businesses, while large corporations make enough money to hire lawyers to find every tax loophole there is. And there are a lot of loopholes out there. As the tax code's being written, you can't foresee every eventuality, and people find ways to take advantage of it, unfortunately. Not to be too political, but if the bigger corporations pay their share, it might not have to ride on the little guy so much. But that is the model that we live in. So I don't think that anybody that's in this business is doing it because they think they're going to get rich. Not with any real anyway.
Doing it because they like it.
Doing it because we love what we're doing. For me, I love what we're doing. I love the material we're working in right now. I'm excited about the next thing. And, beyond that, it affords me the ability to do something that I'm the boss of. Yes, you're right. It does all suck. Life would be great if there were no taxes, but then we wouldn't have, fire department and such like that we need. So, public schools would go on the dumper worse than they already are.
I work at a public school, and
I got several friends that are teachers, and they all complain the same way.
Well, I'm a janitor at an elementary school,
right on.
And I love being around the kids. I don't know what's going on with them at home, so I always try to have a stupid joke for them.
Well, yeah.
And but they just closed 2 schools in our county because we're $2 million in the hole.
We're suffering under some stuff like that down here in Texas too, I'm afraid. With regards to education, we're ranked, I think, in the mid 40s in the nation, out of 50 states and a couple of public territories.
Welcome to West Virginia.
That's not great, man. That's not great. And Texas used to have a pretty higher standard.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing now is the direct result of a budgetary imbalance. Not putting the money where it needs to go. I've argued many times. Not to get too political. I've argued many times for free public college. Free state school. If you can maintain the grades, you should go. And the reason for that is that I believe a rising tide floats every boat. If everybody's getting a public education that can hold it down, public education or trade school, trade school is a really good option.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with the trade school.
Exactly. You learn how to be an underwater welder, go make $165 an hour. Hell yeah. But I've argued many times for that. And people come back, well, how's it going to get paid for? How's it going to get paid for? Well, you're going to have it being paid for by taxes from the people that are graduating, go on to better jobs. And as a parent, grandparent, I want my children and grandchildren to be surrounded by people that are smarter, that make them have to be smarter to survive in the marketplace, to be better. You don't have any choice. You either succeed by becoming better than your competition, or you don't. And if you don't, well, okay, that's fine. It's not for everybody, but I want them to succeed, and that's how you get there. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to wax on that too much. I apologize.
You're all right. We'll not fire you.
Well, I think that everybody can benefit.
You're passionate, and I dig that. So, what
Back
was
to toys?
Yes? What was the first figure you came out with?
Well, the kind of the archetype of the line, and that's something I should touch on. A lot of people have asked, well, why don't you do so and so from history? Why don't you do so and so from history? Why don't you do this guy, that guy from GB, whatever? There's either usually a license or a family name involved, and there needs, with a license there will be contracts, but contracts and money. But with people like, say, Bass Reeves is a good example. Bass Reeves has still got family that's alive and kicking in Oklahoma City these days. And if you want to do a character of him, even though it's historical, and he was a public figure being a public servant, there still needs to be a conversation about compensation and permission.
Yes.
So our line early on was all archetypes. There was also a financial reason for that. We didn't have a lot of money to spend on copywriting every Tom, Dick, and Harry name in the world. So we decided to go with the archetypes because they didn't need to be copyrighted, the sheriff and marshal, so forth and so on. And kind of the flagship character to the line, both by popular acclaim and sales follow through, has probably been the marshal. He's the only figure that we've reprinted outright once it sold out initially. The Marshall version 2 is getting close to being sold out, and we've only had him about 1.5 years or 2 years. So we're on the right track with that. So the Marshall's kind of the flagship character. He was the first proof of concept I put together. When we were doing due diligence on the line, my business partner Paul has been obsessed with a line that was shown at Toy Fair way back in 2001 called Dusty Trails Toys. And it was the son of the guy that had 21st century, World War II and Vietnam toys and stuff. You remember those? And he wanted to do a Western line. And Paul had been obsessed with what was shown in 2001 and didn't make it to market for years. And there's a great story he tells about putting a bounty on that stuff if it ever showed up anywhere for sale, the prototypes and stuff like that. And one of his friends from a forum that he used to own, Jedi Defender, said, "Hey, those figures are up on eBay." So we went and got them, made a deal for him, bought the figures, said, "Hey, there should be a stagecoach and a cannon and one more figure and a Gatling gun if you run across them." They were from a storage unit that had been abandoned and claimed from the company that went under that was trying to bring these to market. So he got them, and that's kind of where our line started off at. I took the Marshall from that line and disassembled the model and did some resin casting for some of the unique parts and bashed that onto some G.I. Joe pieces, and that was our first proof of concept. That ended up starting things off, where we want to go with articulation and so forth and so on. So
that's cool.
Actually, I just dug one single copy of that up that had been buried in a box for at least a decade. That I was going to put together right before Joe Fest just to show off where we started versus where we are. So didn't get done, like so many other things. Just ran out of time.
That's really cool.
If you go back and look online for Dusty Trails Toys, you can see what those figures look like and why they were so interesting to him. A lot of the costuming and stuff from that was based on characters from Tombstone, which is the general public's probably the most popular Western with them.
My favorite Western of all time, and I don't know what your alls are, but is Jeremiah Johnson.
Yeah, I love Robert Redford. He's fantastic in that. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of work.
That and Quigley Down Under.
Quigley is really underrated. It's a super fun, very Western film. Alan Rickman is fantastic in that as the villain. Tom Selleck was great.
I would love to have a Sharps 45 110.
Well, we make a version of that, but it's plastic. For me, it's Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove, I think, is the archetype for Western storytelling. You have a giant cast of characters on a great adventure, and every one of them has a complete character arc. There's some man tears, there's some real heart clutching, and some terrible and amazing things that happen.
I've never watched it. I might have to.
I promise you will not regret it if you put in the 6 hours. You won't. Again, like I said,
Yeah,
Tombstone is the general public. That's everybody's favorite. For me, the story is incomplete, knowing some of the history around the events that happened in Tombstone. It is a great Hollywood film. It is bombastic. It is loud. It is glitzy. The costuming is extremely accurate. The sets are extremely accurate. I've been to Tombstone, and what's left out there, looks like what you'd expect. So,
Val Kilmer should have won a award for his portrayal of Doc Holliday.
Well, it was very Hollywood. It was very over the top.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you have a character dominate the screen that much, it would be like Laurence Olivier doing Shakespeare. He's going to choose some scenery. You're going to see something. For me, it's a Lonesome Dove. Probably my most favorite recent would either be Bone Tomahawk or Hell or High Water. Both of those are excellent.
Bone Tomahawk's good.
Oh, it's real good. I would not have mixed Western horror, but man, that's great. Hell or High Waters with Jeff. It's a modern Western. It's Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges play the antagonists in it. It is some Cormac McCarthy level Western stuff. It's really good.
So one of the figures that one of the sets you all have that's really got me locked in because I like creatures is the Krampus and Santa Claus set.
Oh, Kringle and Krampus. Well, there's an interesting little short story I'll tell you about that. One of the difficulties with doing a niche brand like Western stuff has been trying to gather the attention of new customers who don't care about guys in cowboy hats. So I had talked off and on for about a year about doing some Southwestern themed cryptids in a 2-pack with an existing cowboy tool, some parts that we could get to cheap, and a new creature to draw people to the line. And as I was talking about that, my business partner Paul's son Cooper, who's going to Savannah College of Art and Design now, took it upon himself to kind of use our parts and digitally bash on his iPad what a cowboy Santa Claus might look like. And he was kind of the impetus for that getting made first. The Krampus and the werewolf and the Wendigo that we have done were all tooled at the same time, and they all share the majority of their body parts. The Cowboy Kringle was a little updated from the design because I had a different head that was even more fun, and a vest that made him look like a little bit of a fat body. So, aerodynamically optimized.
Yeah.
So that was where that came from, and that ended up being the first 2-pack. We were supposed to get it in a little bit before Christmas. It ended up coming in 2 weeks before, so we didn't really have time to do anything except fulfill the pre-orders. Now it sells around Christmas time every once in a while. It's been a very popular piece for people that have actually taken the time to grab it. I'm very proud of the work that was done on that. That was one of the first big items from our second factory up in northern China, and they did just a killer job on it. Our next 2-pack is the Alien and Apache Scout. The Scouts are already done. They were manufactured at our first factory because the tooling for the figure was there. The second factory is getting ready to start production on the Alien and packaging, and they'll have that ready to go probably by the end of the year. The one that will run alongside of it is Pecos Bill and the Wily Werewolf. That will be the next one that goes right after that. And then if we can get the new torso and arms done, then I'll try to get the Wendigo started in the spring. We've got 8 of those 2-packs that are designed that have something that's uniquely Southwestern. The Chupacabra is a good example. I showed the model for that at Joe Fest this year, finally, after 3 years of having it printed and painted but not assembled. We wanted to do something that's a touchstone of this part of the country and is involved in the history of this part of the country.
Yeah.
But with the Chupacabra specifically, our original design was about yay big. So not real big. And again, like I talked about, appearance of the appearance of value to the customer is very important to us. You know, we're asking a premium price, so we want to feel like you guys are getting something premium in the deal. We originally designed it to have a jackalope to go with it, and that's where the little bag jackalope and jackrabbits come from. When I had that sculpted, I used a young lady named Miranda Rivera. Miranda Rivera used to freelance for Hasbro, and she usually gets stuck doing girl toys. She's very, very, very talented sculptor. I loved working with her. I'm looking forward to doing it again. I said, Randa, well, here's what I need. These are the design elements. Here's some artwork, blah, 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 blah. I want you to just go nuts. And boy, did she. Because now the model is about this big. If you saw pictures from the show, you know, this thing's crazy looking. And that left me with the decision to make. Well, I don't need to put the jackalope in there now. What do I do with this stuff that's already tooled? That's how we ended up with the blind bag figures that we got now. That's why you have a Tiger Force Jackrabbit and Bucky O'Hare inspired Jackrabbit and Chocolate Jackrabbit and the Cave Rabbit of Cabanagh and a Bugs Bunny inspired Jackrabbit. So, you know, do I believe in it? Well, for the sake of Joseph Jones, yeah, no. No, I you know, on a personal level, it would be the height of human hubris to think that out there in the galaxy there isn't an alien life form somewhere with the vast expanse of the cosmos. Have I seen one? No. Do I want to see one? No. But as far as cryptids and creatures and stuff like that, no, not really. I think there's a basis for everything in terms of mythology. You know, as there always is in a story, there's always some kernel of truth at the bottom of it somewhere. It's not going to be what it's been blown up to be. But are there things in this world you can't explain? Sure. You know, is there spiritualism? Sure. Are there ghosties? I don't know. I have not seen any proof of it. But is there a chupacabra? Man, I don't know. I think this one looks cool. So yeah, I guess there is. But
do you by chance have the plans to do a Bigfoot?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that my head sculptor is doing right now, Kalen McKean at Gigabread Digital Bakery. He's working on Bigfoot right now. Bigfoot will get repainted into a Yeti, obviously, and then we'll probably do a different colorway on Bigfoot. What I'd like to do with a Bigfoot is do one that's browns and tans to go in the 2 packets planned for. Then obviously Yeti is, you know, white, gray, blue. And then the third one will probably be a Sasquatch that looks like the $6 Million Man colorway, where it's black fur with brown face paint.
That'd be cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it won't be the $6 Million Man design,
Right.
obviously. But.
Right.
You could even go into the skunk ape from Florida swamps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So-
That's on my list.
Okay.
It's that's southern. It's not southwestern, but it's southern. It's on my list.
You get me talking about cryptids and critters like that. You get me all fired up. So,
Well, the next thing that we want to do, and I talked about this a little bit. The next thing we want to do after these 8 2-packs are done is take our tooling and really swing off a little wild, a bit steampunk, but not in the way that you think you've seen at a convention. We want to do literary translations of Jules Verne style steampunk with Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos creatures. And if you know Lovecraft, you know that there's only been 1 or 2 descriptions that are very specific. They're mostly nebulous and are left to the imagination. But I've got some very specific ideas that I've discussed with a couple of guys that I think will translate really well for things that are, you know, almost formless, like the Shoggoths and so forth and so on. So my first 2-pack, I can see it in my head very clearly. It's a Vernian style, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, deep sea diver in deep sea suit, you know, brass helmet, all that kind of stuff. Not a round helmet. We're gonna take some influence from the Disney movie where there's, you know, scroll work and, you know, ornation, and then the deep ones, a figure of a deep one, and instead of doing the anglerfish inspired, you know, toothy, scaly claw monster, I want to do a deep one inspired by the Greenland shark, where it's big, bulky, sleek of form, looks like it couldn't be crushed under the weight of the sun, you know, because it's just a big chunk. I think it would be very interesting to do something that takes a much different approach to that. And again, without strong guiding literary descriptions, they're very open to interpretation. And as long as you're doing something cool, the public should respond well to it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, you got me hooked on that because I'm sitting here looking at a Cthulhu figure.
Oh, I've got 3 or 4 different ones
from Operation Monster Force, and
oh, the what is it?
The Ambassador.
Yeah, the Ambassador Riley. Yeah, I've got some of the older ones.
How
Probably.
did you?
Go ahead.
How did you pronounce that last word? The Ambassador of what?
Riley.
Okay. My hillbilly dialect would not let me
It's okay.
pronounce that right.
The only reason I have any idea at all is because my best friend is a huge Lovecraft fan, and he's gone back to hear some of the old recordings of Lovecraft actually talking about his material and how he pronounced things. Like Cthulhu is an approximation of what it's supposed to sound like, but
Right.
it's not correct. It's actually Cthulhu. It's not something that's made to be pronounced by the human tongue, so we're not ever going to be right. So,
Right.
well, technically, whatever you say is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts about doing yeah, I know, Ronnie. I can't help that I talk like that. What's your thoughts about doing Revolutionary War type stuff? Or have you already done that and I've just missed it?
No, we haven't done. I've talked about it off and on for a while. It's not going to be the next thing we do, but it's on the short list. I wanted to combine because you can't really build a line out of a wide ranging line out of stuff from that period.
Mhm.
I wanted to do something that combined, as far as uniforms and costuming, the Revolutionary War and Napoleonic War.
Yeah.
So you'd be getting stuff that's very similar to each other. That would help. That's 30 figures, not 10.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something like that, and it's still very much on our list, but it's even more niche than Western stuff. So we're going to have to get a lot more wealthy than we are right now. To zig that way. Our focus right now is mainly on getting the Native Americans and the female figures to our Western line, getting production underway and such for the horses, because can't really have cowboys without that. We've had that sculpt ready for over 4 years. It's beaten me to death. But also on our collaboration with Fresh Monkey Fiction on the Cops and Crooks lineup, doing our 4-inch versions of their figures, their characters. We currently have Buttons with Boom Boom and a driver we're calling Leadfoot. His original name was Roadblock. Obviously, can't use that. Who are up right now for pre-order, and if we can reach our MOQ on that, which is 500 pieces per character, then we'll go ahead and cut tooling for the first 6 guys, so that we have all 6 of them done, and we'll solicit them 2 at a time like we're doing now, so that we don't get too deep in the pocketbook and trying to produce a whole bunch and store a whole bunch while we wait on it to sell through. Okay, yeah, Mad King George. The next thing that we would pivot to, I'm not going to touch on. I did show a couple of pieces publicly when we were at Joe Fest this year, painted samples and accessories and stuff. But everybody seems to kind of glossed over those, and that's fine. We don't want to get too deep into it with the public until we're further along in development. But we've got something that we're going to pivot to pretty shortly that will utilize some of the base body parts from our existing line, so it makes the hurdle much easier. Lots, entirely new accessories and portraits and so forth and so on. So.
It's all right, Max. That's what replay's for.
Yep.
Got to post that link so all my late sleepers will see it later on today. Outside of that, there's lots of things I'd like to do. There's still, like I said, there's still at least 100 people that we want to do in the Western lineup. One of these days, I'm going to find a way to get that Stagecoach funded. I think that our line is missing that centerpiece that you display everything else around. I've been in talks with one of my designers about, actually for almost a year now. I've been in talks with one of my designers about how we can create some backdrop facade style buildings that will have about 3 inches of dimensionality on the shelf, so you can turn them around, display stuff on the inside and the outside.
That'd be cool.
16 inches wide, probably not more than 12 tall, depending on what building it is and what have you, and about 3 inches deep. We want to do high-end press board with full color graphics on both sides. It's sealed, so it can be handled without it deteriorating like old cardboard play sets would do. There'll be some actual plastic pieces to go with it, lanterns and kitchen posts and things like that where it's appropriate. Functioning doors, cutouts for windows, so you have your guys shooting out the window, stuff like that. And we would probably have those with a pack-in figure, something that uses tooling that's already done. That is a new design or new colorway, something like that. We want to try to keep the retail price point at that for about $50. I think the value's there for that if we can get the cardboard goods manufactured cheaply enough. Don't want to cheap out on the materials.
Right.
Right.
I was at a show this past week in Kentuckiana in Louisville, and Crimson Toys was there, and they had this building. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, Dime Novel Legends, perfect for it. He's like, I sold him one at Joe Fest. Or
actually, sold Joseph Jones one of those at Joe Fest. He brought it over, put it on the table. It's an Adobe flat roof.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's nice, pretty nice piece. Now it's super chunky, heavy. It's not made for hauling around and playing with on the go. But yeah, it's really really nice piece. And you're right, it is a good display. I think that those guys do pretty nice work. I've seen a lot of small 3D printed stuff. There's a guy on eBay right now that's doing poker table and chairs and things like that. And there's a lot of it that I think would be complementary to our line that we need to get to, but just without the retail support to make money a non-object, it's got to go slow. Go slow and be smart.
If you don't put out these amazing figures, then other people's not going to make those designs to they just blend together so well.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. There's a guy on eBay right now that does a couple of great custom pieces for the old Canada Real West Cafe. He does a swinging doorway that can go on it to replace the original doorway it came with. He did that base was also used for the Star Wars Cantina playset way back in the day, and he's got a doorway with the scanners on it and stuff like that. So there's a great robust fan community around these things.
Thanks for stopping in, Larry.
That complements the line really well, and for me, I just want to make sure we're putting out stuff that's worth the trouble and worth the time, and again has the appearance of value to the customer. I get guys every once in a while that don't understand why this guy only comes with 2 accessories and this guy's got 7. I said because there has to be a balance in the budget,
right?
And we want to keep the price point the same from everybody. So this guy might get a little short. He's not going to have less than he should have, but if he's a gunfighter, he's only going to have a pistol, belt, coat, bandana, hat. Whereas the other guy might have an additional rifle and a satchel, a powder horn or something like that.
This I'm gonna show real quick the figure that started it for me. Picked him up at Joe Fest.
Oh yeah, Black Snake. Yeah. He's been very popular, very very popular. The whole idea behind that subline from Weird Western Tales, the Calbra guys, it was a thought exercise. About 3 years ago at Joe Fest, we were sitting in the lobby on Sunday night, kind of decompressing, and I was talking with everybody who'd come out to help and hang around. I said, what would G.I. Joe be like if it was in the Old West? It wouldn't be a centralized team. It would be a government-sponsored team. You might certainly have a government agent or two, but you wouldn't have an entire team of people that were carrying federal badges or something stupid like that. You would have a very loose association. And I got to thinking about it. We talked about characters and so forth and so on. That is kind of where that idea sprung up out of. What I originally had in mind was something that was a little more esoteric and a bit more I feel like high-end creative. And then Kalen took my sculptor took the existing pool of parts and put together what was what ended up being the Cowboy Boss and the Cowboy Bandit And he said, well, here's some low hanging fruit for you. And I said, that's not low hanging fruit. That's rotten. It's on the ground, and the monkeys are getting drunk eating it. So it ended up being the right decision because the general public might not have gotten the high concept idea, but they certainly got this one. It's been very, very popular in terms of reception. And Black Snake, I think I've got 300 copies left out of a 2,000 piece print run in just over a year. So yeah, I can't crap about that. Wild Wild West would be a license. A license is money, and that's something we don't have. I pitched several licenses over the years when we were a little more liquid, and I pitched Stephen King for The Dark Tower. Yeah, pitched this guy for The Dark Tower twice. Pitched Paramount for Yellowstone, and would have been 1883 also. And then I pitched Warner for Westworld, both the series and the 1973 movie. And none of those have worked out to our advantage, unfortunately. I won't go into the details, but it was a good experience to get under our belt. Our representation at the time was Fangirl Media down in Florida, and the lady who represents that company used to work on the other side of the table for Disney as a licensor. So she definitely prepared me for what those things were going to cost and what we might go through and stuff. So, what was that last question that just popped up there?
Asking if there's going to be some like Python Patrol colors. Yeah.
If the rabbits take off like crazy, and they're not, the rabbits was something I did as just a test to see if it would work or not. Then yes, I'll do a Python Patrol Jackrabbit to go with the Tiger Force one we've already got. So everybody wants the Jackalope, nobody wants the Cave Rabbit of Caerbannog. I don't get it. You know what that is, don't you? The Cave Rabbit of Caerbannog. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Pointy teeth.
Sharp pointy teeth. Yeah.
Okay, I got to get that now.
You got to lick the bones.
Well, the Rice of Louis L'Amour probably wouldn't be that expensive, but it's a legacy brand, so there's going to be definitely professional lawyers attached to that, and professional lawyers are like blood-sucking ticks. You know, they when we've done contracts in the past for likeness rights and things like say with Michael Biehn when we signed his contract, it was rights for his likeness for one figure, and the page for that contract was one page. We want to keep things simple and the language plain so that everybody involved understands it clearly. But when you start talking about lawyer, well, okay, now here's 12 pages. Yeah. And here's a lot of language that people aren't going to get clearly unless you are in the business of making the language your model, your pay model. So Paul is a real estate lawyer, so it's not unfamiliar to him. But at the same time, I'm pretty adamant about wanting to make sure we keep things simple. Yeah. So anytime you're talking about a license, especially a legacy license like that, you're going to be dealing with a stack of lawyers. If you don't have the money to pay yours to do the work for you, well, you might get taken advantage of. Right. And with license stuff, there's the added factor of once you sign the contract, the clock starts ticking. I don't know if you've ever heard this from anybody else that's in the boutique brands, but usually there's a time that you're allowed to have to work on these things and to bring them to market. There's penalties if you don't make it. For a larger company like, say, a Disney or any movie studio for any movie-related property, you're going to owe X amount of money up front, or when the product delivers, you owe this much money, and then if you sell through within a certain period of time, there's an automatic renegotiate. So they start getting, instead of just being $20,000 and they're paid, and I'm just using that as an example for the number, it's $20,000 until you sell over $20,000, and then it's $20,000 plus one, and then you owe money for every additional one after that. So it's not straightforward. Pay this thing one time and you're done. It's an ongoing. And to be fair, it's their property. Yeah. You're licensing it out after you've made X amount of money. It's fair for them to ask more if you're selling through more. If you're still making more money, they should want to make more money out of that. It's fair. That's the deal that you get when you're talking about somebody else's IP. The upside for what we've done with celebrities so far is that some of them have been cash, some have been product. And for us, the product part works out pretty well because we're paying X to get it made. Then we give them that product at a wholesale value, and then they can sell it at a retail value, and they're making, whatever for each item that they sell at their booth at a show, plus the autograph fee and everything else. So everybody wins in that deal. But you can't make that kind of contract with the company, with the big license holder like Disney or Paramount or something. The most eye-opening conversation that we had was with one of the big companies, and I'm not going to say who, but this is the experience. I met with Anita, who is from Fangirl, and we kind of prepped for the Zoom call. And then we went into the Zoom call, and we're speaking with somebody's assistant, basically, not a junior executive, an assistant. So they weren't really in retrospect, they weren't really looking to license it out. It didn't look like. So I give them our deck, which is a digital format of a book that shows some of the things that we've done, some of the things that we've partnered with other people on, what our sales avenues are, things like that. And they look it over a little bit, and then I pointed the conversation in the direction. Said, well, okay, let's talk about money. And in my preparations for the material, Anita had told me to expect about $50,000, which is a lot of money, but for the right property, it would be worth it, right? Yeah. Certain things within the community, if we are manufacturing, or not say printing money, but in that realm. So she had prepped me at about $50,000. She said it's not really worth more than that, in my opinion, given logistics and stuff. So talked to this young person, and I said, well, what's the number? And they said $200,000.
Whoa.
And my agent did an eye roll so hard through the Zoom call that I heard it. And she immediately stepped into the conversation and said, well, that's well beyond what we are planning in this particular format for this particular thing. And can we have a discussion about including some of your legacy properties, old black and white Westerns and stuff that they're not interested in licensing because it would cost too much to do the paperwork on it, and maybe revisit it at $100,000. And that conversation never materialized because they weren't really serious about it to begin with. That's why we got what's called the FU price in that, 4 times what it's worth. If we're stupid enough to pay that money, of course, then they'll go ahead and make the time to have the lawyers go through and vet everything and put the contracts together and so forth. But barring that, it's not worth the trouble or time. So they took the meeting out of courtesy, and that was the end of that. And when the Zoom call was over and I was doing my debrief, my agent said to me, "There's no way I'd let you pay that. Not ever. Not even if you had the money and were dumb enough to do it. There's no way I'd let you do that." So the politics of these situations are somewhat subtle and definitely an eye-opening experience. Probably one of the better experiences I had, and I only say this as an aside, was speaking with Stephen King's agent. I was able to gather his information by doing some research. Cold called him. He called me back about 2 weeks later at 8 a.m. And we spoke. This was just before COVID. And after our short but respectful conversation, he said, we're in negotiations to do a contract on this and that. And we got to kind of wait till that's done before we can make a decision about anything else. I said, I will say that when Stephen and I sign a contract on something, it's usually like to do one thing and see how it performs and see if it's going to be a fit for everybody concerned. So that fits fine with our model. They said, okay, so not for now, but let's revisit it. Then COVID happens, and that kills business for a couple of years. This guy leaves his group, takes several artists with him, including King. So then I had to go through again and find his information again, hunt it down, all new, because it wasn't out there to be had on the internet. And took my call again, and we had a longer conversation about it. And by then, of course, the contracts were signed, so there's a third party involved. And so we're going to have to decline. If we were going to do it now, it would have to be a Hasbro or Mattel, something like that. So the problem being, and this is in my opinion only, Hasbro or Mattel's not going to care about that material. It's just going to be a payday for them. They're not going to have the best interest of the representation of the line. So, what we wanted to do with that, what I pitched, and the artwork that I showed was based on the literary description of the main character, Roland, from that, how he's described in the book physically, what he looks like, what the clothes wear, that kind of thing. So that was what influenced our design. But that was a good experience to be taken seriously by somebody that high up in Hollywood. That was pretty nice. I felt like.
Nice.
Yeah, well, it's an aside. It's merely an anecdote. We get a chance, I'll pitch him again.
So if you weren't making westerns, what would be another genre that you would love to do?
Well, the Greco-Roman stuff, I felt really strongly about that. That was one of my favorite things to study in school, was Greco-Roman mythology, history, and such. And I still would like to take a stab at it. It's not realistic that we would. There's another company that's done it very well. There's no need to step on toes, step in that way, get out of our lane. The Revolutionary and Napoleonic War stuff is very interesting to me because the uniforms were largely all coming out of Europe, and while they were very colorful, because guerrilla warfare really wasn't a thing at that time, it was all stand up, in lines, march and shoot. I think visually it would be a very, very impactful line, but I don't think there would be a lot of interest in it outside of history buffs.
Right. I'm happy with the Western stuff. I just curious.
I am too. The 2-packs, the literary steampunk and Lovecraft mythos 2-packs. Very excited about those. Very excited about our creatures. And those are outside the regular Western genre. So, the next pivot, like I said, I'm not going to talk about it much, but the next pivot, I think, is something that people will probably respond pretty strongly to. It's not, fantasy based or anything like that, but it is somewhat historical. So, I would kill for John Wayne too. We haven't tried to do anything with that yet, simply because his family, who is responsible for his legacy and his branding, is perfectly willing to have a conversation with almost anybody. It's simply going to be a matter of, can we meet the numbers they want, and can we cut the deal? So there's still hope that we'd have the opportunity to do that at some point someday. So I don't want to step on any toes and create a situation where we would be shooting ourselves in the foot by trying to bootleg a John Wayne figure at this point. John Wayne as a person is a polarizing character. His politics were not that great, but he is the manly archetype of that period of cinema, and has inspired a lot of people. So you say you'll personally fund till I let you know what it's going to cost. If you want to have a serious conversation about it, you shoot me an IM after this is over. If there's dollar bills attached, we will talk. But there are several estates out there, like the John Wayne estate, that I would like to have a conversation with, and that's one of the reasons I became friends with Brian Flynn. Brian has done a lot at Super 7. He's done a lot of licensing, and it's been all over the place. So he's had to talk to everybody under the sun, both professional and family oriented and stuff like that. And he said every deal is different. Every deal is wildly different. Some people are just happy to have their relative's name out there being remembered fondly, and some of them just have their hand out. All they see is cash, dollar bills, And he said it's very different from personality to personality. Some folks are a little harder to deal with. Some folks are pretty easy going. And I've experienced some of that on my own, doing some celebrity likenesses. The difficulty becomes that we, as a company, want to represent how they see themselves as a brand, so to speak, to use the popular parlance, public facing. We want to be the best possible representative of that we can be, in terms of relaying what they look like, what the portrait is, how it looks on the figure, how the figure relates to anything that they've done. And most of the people that we've signed contracts with up to this point have been understanding and come around. Some of them have taken some prodding, but we've only had one outright failure. I won't say who it was because that would be impolitic, but most of them have been receptive to our ideas and interpretations. The next thing we're doing license-wise that is going to see the light of day will be Michael Bihn's figure, the Sicarius or Assassin in Latin. We're very excited about the opportunity that's going to present. The tooling is done for it. The tooling is also done for a couple of other cowboys that will go with it. So once we get that into production, I'll make a public announcement about pre-orders and so forth and so on.
Nice.
How
Very
we're
cool.
gonna- But now the tooling is done on it. The next focus, like I said earlier in the conversation, the next focus is to see if we can get the pre-orders up on the cop stuff so we can move forward with it. I really want to, as a fan of that property, a fan of that line. I think that will go a good way toward getting the general action figure collecting public to take notice of our little corner of the universe here and see what they have to say about it. So, anybody have any specific questions about any of all that rambling I just did?
No, but my mind is like going all over the place
Yeah.
with this like Jules Verne, Lovecraft thing. It's like, oh, the possibilities.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's definitely an opportunity there to do something that is wildly different than everybody else's interpretations. Like I said, the popular version of the deep ones is like I said, the angler fish with the giant jaws full of teeth and maybe even the light hanging over their head and stuff like that. And that's cool. It makes for a very creepy, scary looking figure, but I think there's another way that could go around it that could be even more emotive. The Shoggoth, I'll give you a description there. So the Shoggoths are designed or are said to be formless blobs with hundreds of thousands of eyes all over their body. They can take any form or shape. Well, how do you make an action figure that has limbs and articulates, other than just doing a jelly blob? What do you do with that? Who's going to have fun playing with that? Not this guy. So inspired by Lovecraft Country, the HBO series, their Shoggoths were kind of lean on a lion shaped, and they had a static form, but they were still blobs that had eyes all over them. They actually had physical teeth, which a Shoggoth doesn't really have. There's no bones in the body. It's a big blob. It's a bioengineered blob. So I was thinking, what can we do with this particular creature that makes it a good action figure and tells a story in the sculpt, which is my favorite thing to do, is to put little hidden details in there that tell you stories, that tell you little notes about the figure. So what I wanted to do and how I see it in my mind is, again, a quadrupedal creature that is still a blob-like creature, so blobs and bumps and maybe transparent gray. Hey, Dan, what's up, buddy? Dennis Carbob, Love Something Toys.
Hey.
So you have a four-limbed creature, and to show the blob-like nature of it in the sculpt, beyond the sculpted details, you have one limb leading. And the limb that's leading, stepping forward, is fatter at the end where it meets the ground, skinnier up toward the joints. It allows for articulation, and then fatter as it gets up to the body to show like the limb is stretching, oozing forward as it's locomoting forward. So you do that for the whole creature. The mouth could be tendrils opening like this, where they're still connected, to show that it's a formless creature. These are not sharp protrusions that are going to eat you, but they are going to absorb you, and you'll be floating around the body till you're dead. So obviously the cool thing is to do that in transparent smoke with a couple of paint washes, and then have about 100 eyes tampo printed on the whole thing all over the body. I think that makes an interesting action figure. It could actually be a little creepy. Similar to that. Yeah. That I think that if you do something of that nature with a creature of that type, you can do a figure that looks like an action figure, plays like an action figure, but also has a strong presence in its design by itself. One of the only things that's extremely well described in his books is the what are they called? the 10-foot tall cylindrical plant animal hybrids with the star head on them that have tentacles coming off. And so I can't remember the right name for them. I want to say it's Elder Things, but I know that's not right. Those are one of the few things that's described very specifically in the books. And I think if you take that same design that you've seen, that's this very segmented thing that looks like FX7 from Empire Strikes Back. Remember that robot figure from Empire?
Yeah.
That's kind of got that same silhouette. You take that thing and then you stretch skin over the whole thing. Well, now it becomes something much creepier, much different. And it's usually shown as segments like a play school toy, where this one is yellow, this one is red, this is blue. So you got these chunky things going down. Well, no, you stretch a skin over that whole thing and make it scabrous and bloody and gross. And Legends of the Lone Ranger would be a license, and we're not doing licensed stuff right now, except for that.
Not
That's
Lone
not
Ranger.
Ranger. That's the vigilante.
The very vintage vigilante. And you can thank Katrina Arana for that name. We were trying to come up with something that was both alliterative, so 3 or 4 things in a row, and 3 or 4 of the same, like Peter Parker and Reed Richards and all that. I love that alliteration and fan stuff. And she came up with, what about very vintage vigilante? I'm like, it's perfect, not changing. That's exactly what it's going to be called. So technically it's Boot Hill Loot 15, Buckaroo 13 to make the very vintage vigilante. So when you go on the site to do the pre-orders, those are the items that you grab. Western play sets we talked about early. Go ahead, please.
Tell people, I gotta go to work here in a minute.
Wait, sure. Yeah, it's about that time, isn't it?
Tell people where they can go to the website and find this stuff.
Well, if you're looking to just order, you can go straight to chickenfriedtoys.com. If you're looking for some of our older merchandise that we're sold out of, you can get it from my affiliate, smalljoes.com. Corey Stenson's a longtime friend of mine from the Joe community. If you're looking for information, all the latest news, find us on Facebook at Chicken Fried Toys, Dime Novel Legends. If you're looking for the latest news on the Cops subline, it's Chicken Fried Toys, Cops and Crooks. We have a fan page, The Saloon, and we also have a trade page called Deep Fried Chicken. So that's where to find us.
I believe I put the website in the description. Let me know if I did it wrong, guys. But I'm trying to do better at hosting.
Well, it's a crapshoot. Can you stay on target? Can you stay focused?
Yeah.
You just need to get Bjorn in here to be your link master.
Yeah. I need some help. I know that.
Yeah.
Hillbilly. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, like I said, you can find us at Chicken Fried Toys, and then the socials, Instagram, Chicken Fried Toys, Facebook, Chicken Fried Toys. There's only one, fortunately or unfortunately. I don't know which that is, but that's where you can catch us at.
All right. That sounds great. Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks for making toys to, because I have such a deep love for Westerns growing up with, me and my dad would watch Westerns all the time, especially the John Wayne stuff. That is Real Lobo and Sons of Katie Elder are 2 of my favorite movies.
Oh, Real Lobo, man.
Catch Red Sun if you get the chance. It's Bronson and Toshiro Mifune. That's the one. Anybody who grew up watching Westerns that wants to take a little pivot, that's the one I pointed to. It's Red Sun.
Right. Sounds good. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Bob, as always.
Yep. Oh, thank you for having me.
JE, come back anytime you want.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Sorry I meandered all over the place, guys.
You're fine.
It was great. That's why we have guests on, because I'm learning stuff about the toy industry that, as just a fan, I don't know. So everything you said today, I just found interesting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about our stuff. Thank you very much.
Everybody have a great day while I go to work.
Peace.